he is inside the studio. And let me give you not exactly a lengthy introduction, but if you ever walk into his company, you will see, I'm quoting from the website of your company. It says, the casual visitor to this particular company may see the tall, informally dressed figure pass by, offering a warm smile and a soft-spoken ayubovan of welcome. And even guess that one would not guess exactly the importance of this gentleman, and he's the pivotal figure that drives this tourism industry in Sri Lanka today. He's the chairman of Jetwing, and he's the only son of the company's founder, Hiran Cooray. He's living proof that a father's vision can blossom and grow through his children, a dream fulfilled beyond expectations and evolving. I'm just quoting from the website itself. And carrying forward the legacy of his father and a 40-year history of continuous success is by no means a small responsibility. But to him, it's a miracle he carries with pride. His father's guiding beliefs of passion, honesty, and integrity, and kind of a tenacity of his own, right? And he has achieved a lot when it comes to the tourism industry in Sri Lanka. And his achievements are numerous and much acclaimed. He was an old boy of St. Joseph's College. He graduated from University of North Carolina, USA, and also followed a general manager's course at the Cornell University, and uplifting Sri Lanka to the world in more ways than one. And you have played cricket as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm honored and privileged, Hiran, to have you inside the studio to have this very, very informal conversation with you.
Thank you for inviting me, Sam. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I know that you have a very, very busy schedule, because I didn't know that you will or will not accept my invitation when I called you first, actually through my uncle. And I mean, I was kind of glad when you said, yeah, I can make it, I can make it to the studio. And according to your PA, today is the perfect day, because
Yes.
next week onwards, she said
I'm
that
going to be out of Colombo.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And if you're ready, I have a few questions that I would like to, get into. Very, very informal. In the meantime, you like listen to music, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay, right. We'll see whether we could play a few of your favorite tracks as we go along. Okay, for my first question, let me ask you, as a person that obviously you have traveled extensively in Sri Lanka as well as across the world, what's one place you will never tire of visiting?
In Sri Lanka, it's Jaffna.
Okay.
I've, from the time I started going with my dad in the early 1970s, then of course for about 30 years we couldn't go there. And then we started going again in 2011, and I just love it there. I mean, just going there, the people, the food, the architecture, the landscape, everything. I can go there now. So that's one place that I love in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
I like the mountains also. Nuwara, Ambevela, that area, Valley Mother,
Okay.
that areas as well. So I hope to spend more time in those areas now in the future.
Right.
But Jaffna is my favorite place in Sri Lanka. Outside Sri Lanka is New Zealand. Auckland is a city that I like very much.
Okay. Any particular reason?
Again, lovely food, great wine, lovely
Okay.
people. Not a busy city.
Okay.
Beautiful city.
But it's cold, isn't it?
In the winter, yes, a little bit, but not as cold as some of the other cities.
Okay, okay. And I mean, yeah, that's quite summing things up, Jaffna for you in Sri Lanka, as well as the mountains, Nuwara and all those places. Okay, and let me ask you, what are 3 things that people would find surprising about you?
Oh, difficult, because sometimes I think I'm a bit of a nutcase, so it's difficult to, people perceive things, in a different way. But I mean, for me, I'm just an ordinary bloke, just doing my things and Sometimes people might think I'm eccentric because now I travel a lot by bus, public bus.
Yes,
and
I saw that clip.
and train. So sometimes people come and say, "Me Hiran Mahatya nahi," and then obviously people get a shock to see me and my sons in a public bus.
Okay.
So that's something that I've started about 6-7 months ago after listening to the governor of the central bank, that we can't continue to keep spending money, especially imported items and things like that.
Sure.
And fuel is our number one imported item. So we have to, as a people, as a nation, we have to sacrifice a bit.
Yeah, and get along and try to help in whatever way that we can help.
Absolutely.
Now for a very interesting question. What does a typical day looks like in the life of Hiran Cooray?
I generally don't have a typical day, but
Okay.
one thing that I do is I wake up very early in the morning,
Okay, roughly what time?
between 6 to 6:15. Earlier, I used to wake up earlier, but now I'm 6 o'clock, 6:15. And then I try to pray for at least half an hour every
Right.
day. So that's the only thing that I probably do and then I go for a walk or exercise something for at least an hour and a half.
Okay.
And then I make coffee for all my wife and the boys.
Okay.
I'm the barista at home,
Right.
and then you kind of disperse, go to office or go to one of the hotels or
Right. Okay.
Depending-
Then you're
yeah.
actually the rat race starts.
starts after that.
Okay. Okay. If you could have dinner with any three people, still alive or dead, who would it be and why?
I loved dinners with my dad. Unfortunately, passed away in 2008. I wish I can have dinner with him again. That's one person. Others would be Mahatma Gandhi. I never met him, obviously not. And maybe Thomas Merton, who was a Catholic priest from the US, a great thinker, a modern thinker, passed away in 1968. So these are people. Mother Teresa is another person that I would love to have met, but never met them.
Okay.
So these are the people that I admire very much.
Okay. Okay. That's very interesting. Very interesting. All right. We're having a chat, like an informal chat with Hiran Cooray inside the studio. And okay, moving on to two questions before we head into news. Okay. If somebody to ask you, Hiran, what is your best attribute?
Wow, I don't know. I mean, again, I just that I'm very confident. Something that I've inherited, I think, from my mother and father.
Okay.
And yeah, that's.
That's what you do say. That's your best attribute.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. And what is your worst in your opinion?
Everything else. If you want to know the worst of me, talk to my wife. She'll go on and on and on.
No, she must be listening.
Yeah,
now.
I hope so.
And she must be having a list. Okay, this one. Okay, one more question before we head into news, Hiran. Okay, what's the best piece of life advice that you can give it, that you can give it, and that you have already gotten?
Well, when I was playing cricket, our coach, late Fali Dalpadado, used to always say, even if you're not a cricketer, look a cricketer and look always confident. And that's something that, I just happened that, whether you can play or not, you must look confident. And I think that's something that I'm trying to tell everyone, about the country or anything. One has to be confident. If you're not confident, you're not going to make it in anything, in any form of life. So I think confidence is something that I learned, and I also try to impart that to the youngsters and to anybody.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you so much, Hiran. And I was asking him, what kind of things do you like to do kind of for you to wind down after a very, very busy day at work?
I love having a drink with my wife.
Okay.
That's something I enjoy, and of course the boys join in as well. So we have to make sure we get the drinks first, and that's something I enjoy at home. We both listen to online mass.
Okay.
That's something that we do most of the time. Sometimes we try to pray together as well. And then if there's any sports on, especially rugby or cricket,
Okay.
I love watching that.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's interesting. What's your kind of unlikely guilty pleasure?
Oh, maybe too much drinking then, or eating.
Okay. Right. I'm sure your wife must be also agreeing.
Yes, she will definitely.
Okay. What would your advice be to anyone who wants to get into the tourism and hospitality industry in Sri Lanka?
Well, first and foremost, you must be able to smile. You must be able to wake up in the morning and say, "Thank God," and that's another day. Because if you are a loner, if you don't enjoy meeting people, talking to people, then tourism, hospitality is not the way. And also, you have to have patience, because tourism is an industry that's very, very sensitive. If you breathe too loud also, you can get affected.
Okay.
We've seen it, the COVID and the bombs and everything else, fuel prices going up or lack of fuel, all these things impact tourism. So if you are really committed as an investor or as a person who's working in the industry, you have to have patience and go along with the ups and the downs. There are lots of ups, but there are downs as well. So if you're unable to weather that, if you don't have patience, you shouldn't get into this industry, because it can be a little volatile for people who want a very stable lifestyle. This is not.
Okay. Okay, now for some serious questions. Okay, two questions I have for you. Okay, given the current situation in our country, right, what would your advice be to the Sri Lankan public to ensure that this sort of a thing doesn't reoccur?
Well, first of all, we have to get out of the situation we are in. We are not out of the woods as yet. The balance of payments, we are struggling, and we had to repay the loans that we have taken, and no one individual or one president or one prime minister can solve this. The people of Sri Lanka can, if we get together and work towards it. And that's why I think I like to give the message that we have to cut down on spending on imported items, especially petrol, diesel, gas, whatever you can, maybe imported food. Don't go for it at the moment. Cut down so that we save as much as possible and we earn more, especially the export sector, people who are working overseas, send the money through the banking system. If we work on those things, I think we can slowly start repaying and getting, and also being vocal. I feel guilty that when this country was burning, or when we were in a pot and the water was boiling, we kept on partying. We never raised, few journalists did, maybe few people in parliament did, but most of us in the business sector, the commerce, the chambers of commerce and the associations and all of that, we never spoke out against this, right? So as a result, we are paying a hell of a price now. And had we also come out, because my son, the youngest son, always says, you guys had a voice, but you never spoke out, right? So he makes me feel very guilty sometimes that, we should have done more to prevent it. Now that it's happened, we have to make sure that we get out of it. And also, in future, we have to be more vocal, voice our opinions more, not only allow a few journalists or few politicians or in the opposition to raise these, but we as private citizens, people who love this country, must come forward and not take things for granted. We have to also insist that the politicians, don't waste our money. Still, they haven't cut down on their expenses. They are just going on merrily as if nothing has happened. I think those have to be cut down. Because that's all. And look at our national railways. We have a fantastic railway system, but did you know that every year we make 10 billion rupee loss? Every year we make a loss of 10 billion rupees. So can we improve on those services, better them? And the people must demand a better service, a cleaner service, and so that we can, use them more. Again, cut down on using our private vehicles as much as possible. Use the trains, but the services have to be good. So we have to demand that service.
And on to the second question. Actually, the second part of the question that I asked you was, while also finding ways to make the best out of a bad situation for the country as a whole, what would you suggest? Like you suggested a few, and is there any more that you want to add on to it? Or you are thinking that, if we start doing what you just mentioned, we'll come out of it. And, roughly, when do you think that, the whole tourism sector, the whole hospitality industry will start to, come out of this not a little big rut that we're in right now?
We are just getting out of it now. We feel every day more people are booking Sri Lanka, especially from India, and the Russians are coming as well. Europe will take longer because those guys are going through a lot of their own issues. Cost of living has gone up over there. The cost of travel has gone up tremendously. I mean, for us, it's we can't even think of flying today because the airline prices have gone up so much. But for those countries as well, it's gone up by 30-40%. And that's pretty high for them. And the salaries don't go up the way it goes up over here because of inflation. Here the salaries have really gone up over here. But so it'll take a little while longer than we expected. We got out of the situation when we had the Easter bombing. We got out of it because the other countries were doing well and they supported us. But in this instance,
everybody's suffering.
Everybody's suffering. So our situation will take a little longer than expected. My best feeling is that by at least early 2024, we'll be back to normal. But the 2023 will be a lot better than the year that we are just going to end in a few more days.
Okay, all right. One final question, Hiran. I know that you need to be running back to Colombo. I mean, when it comes to WhatsApp and stuff like that, if you go through my profile, you see me in a racing helmet and a racing suit, right? And a lot of people have, their family and friends, maybe with the wife and, all those things. But your WhatsApp profile image is very interesting. I found it very interesting. And most people would have, the normal selfies and stuff like that. Is there any significance to your profile picture on WhatsApp?
Well, yes. I mean, Mother Teresa is somebody whom I really, I'm in love with her. The things she did. Small woman from Albania and then Ireland came to India and completely revolutionized the way you treat people, and built up an order that really it's continuing. I never had the opportunity to meet her, but I've done a lot of readings about her life, about the things, how determined she was. One goal she had, and then she just went at it, and so she inspires me a lot. And I have her daily prayers, all of that. So that's something. And actually, what happened was a friend of mine sent it to me and said, "Look, why don't you put it on your profile?" So I never took it out after that.
Okay, right. And thank you so much, Hiran, for taking time to come into the studio and having this interesting chat. And like Hiran mentioned, Hiran's wife is Darshini, and his sons would be Dimitri, Hashan and Harin.
Yes.
And I believe one of the sons is continuing on his father's footsteps.
Well, in cricket, but all three are working in the company now.
Okay, right.
All three are working. The elder boy is now the deputy managing director.
Okay.
The other fellow runs the marketing. The third youngest, Harin, is now still as operations manager of the company.
Okay, so all three are kind of helping you to continue the vision to the next generation.
Well, I hope so. I mean, they have a lot of responsibility as well. Not only them, we have 3,200 people working with us. Their families, all of that depend on what we do. So that's a huge responsibility that all of us have. And Sam, thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed talking to you.
Thank
very
you so much
I'm
for accepting my invitation and being here inside the studio. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you, and God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you so much.